All right, so my first video is me just pretty much kicking and screaming about firing Brian Kelly this year as opposed to next year or sometime after that, because I think it's going to end up costing you more money in the grand scheme of things when you look at firing the coaches we have now, hiring some replacements, and then I'll talk about the schedule next year and the shape of the team going into 2026 at the end. But I just kind of want to get into the nitty gritty and give like a real financial ballpark estimate for what's it going to cost? What's the official numbers to buy these guys out? And what can we guess the replacements are going to cost on an annual basis to kind of give an idea so we can decide for ourselves if this is going to be worth it. Let's just kind of get straight into it here. First one, Brad Davis, O-line coach. I will say for all these contracts, they all end at the same time, January of 2027, which is essentially just at the end of next season. But as you can see on the screen, Brad Davis, basically $930,000. I will say I found all their contracts online just because LSU is a state school. So it's pretty easy to tell what these numbers are. I started with Brad Davis first. I think he's the most obvious one that's going to be gone. I was watching the Bengal Tiger podcast, and Shay's kind of hinting, and he tweeted about it too, that there could be staff moves made if we look bad on offense against A&M and lose in the bye week. I can't imagine it would be anyone else except Brad Davis. Maybe into our next guy, Joe Sloan, our OC. He is going to cost a little over $1 million, 1.02, to buy him out. I could see him going with Davis, honestly, at the same time during the bye week. That would be a crazy pull, but if Ryan Kelly wants to call the plays to end the year, that could be scary, but that's what Moscano wants. So, and then, like I said in the first video, I'm looping in Cortez Hankton with these guys. He has left a lot to be desired. Crazy because he was getting like head coach looks like a year or two ago. And I'm honestly confused with him. I don't know whether to give him credit for like Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Aaron Anderson, when his in game adjustments and rotation is so piss poor. It's insane. And the portal has not been kind. And we were supposed to have this loaded wide receiver core. And guys like Nick Anderson, who I don't even want to know what we're paying him. I put a video out on Shorts about this already, and someone commented like, "Calm down, Michael Scott," which I mean that's crazy. But yeah, back to the point. I don't know what to do with Hankton. He's making too much money because he's the pass game coordinator, whatever that means. But yeah, he's also going to cost basically $1 million flat to buy him out. And so that leaves us for the three of these guys to not coach for LSU next season at $2.96 million. Let's just call it three because that's what it is. $3 million for them not to coach. And then I started thinking about, what's the buyout situation going to be for new assistants? I know it works differently everywhere else. I was trying to look up some other coaches and their contracts, but LSU is just a lot easier to find. And at least in Sloan, Hankton, and Davis, the clause you see on the screen, 11C in their contracts, if you want to look at it for yourself, 50% of the remaining base plus supplemental compensation to the contract, blah, 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 blah. I asked ChatGPT to guess if someone wanted to be a good Samaritan and hire Joe Sloan out from under us, what that would cost. And you can see it's saying between 450 and 600K. So that can give you an idea based on what he makes per year, which I think is just under $1 million, what that would potentially cost us, to hire some additional staff members. I guess starting with guessing the OC. I mean, there's no point in guessing candidates for the job. We're so far out from that. But I think we can get a decent idea of what they will cost. So this is the top five highest paid SEC offensive coordinators. And I think even past Arbuckle at the bottom, I think even six, I can't remember who it is, but it was also like 1.5. So I think it's pretty safe to say I can't imagine LSU's going to go out, keep Brian Kelly, and then hire some OC that makes like $1 million or less, because Sloan is towards the bottom half in salary for offensive coordinators in the SEC. So I think if they're going to go this route with revamping the offensive staff instead of just completely firing Brian Kelly, they're going to have to get someone good to inspire the fan base. Like I said in the other video, I wouldn't be surprised if they completely reset the market here with someone, although I think they will have trouble getting some good OC to come get attached to Brian Kelly with, his future fate. So I don't know. We don't even have to think about that right now, but I put in the estimate that you'll see here in a second. I'll just put it now, 1.5 million. And then, O-line coach and wide receiver coach, that's a little tougher to guess because there's not as many lists, and I don't feel like going through every single SEC O-line coach and wide receiver coach's contract. But I just tacked on 10% to what Davis and Hankton make now because I just don't see any world where they bring in someone that's going to work for less than what their predecessor made. That puts you at OC 1.5, new O-line coach 1.1, and new wide receiver coach 1.2. I will say for the wide receiver coach, Hankton makes more and he got that bump in pay like a year or two ago because he's technically the pass game coordinator. So if you don't have that attachment on the next receivers coach, if they do end up firing him, maybe this could be less, but I mean, no way. I don't think it's going to be less than $1 million. If you take those three, their new salaries, plus the buyouts from our old staff, you're looking at 6.83 basically, essentially $7 million. And this isn't including, the buyouts that we're going to have to do to get these assistants in, unless you're doing like a Sam Pittman O-line coach scenario, but you're not going to do that for all three, probably for none of them. It'd be too good to be true. So $7 million. And this kind of leads into my next point. If the idea of keeping Brian Kelly is that, well, we at least need to go from $50 million to $40 million in this buyout. I just showed you that's going to be an easy $7 million, if not more, to revamp this staff. And let's just look at this schedule. I mean, Clemson, Bama, Mississippi State, Texas, A&M, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. You know how many people we're losing after this year? We're going to have to hit the portal, most likely for a quarterback. They refuse to put in Van Buren under any circumstances. You're losing a lot on the defensive side of the ball. We're probably going to have to do something at receiver in the portal again, which is crazy as that is. I mean, you really want to roll into next year with Nick Anderson being a top guy. You're not going to have Aaron Anderson anymore. I don't know Xavion Thomas. I think he might be out of eligibility. I could be wrong on that. But so you're going to have to replace so much in the portal. And there's just going to be so much change if you're still going to be doing this Brian Kelly thing, just giving him a chance. I just don't see the point. I think it's pretty obvious when you break it all down that it's just going to be easier. It's going to be, I think, cost saving for the program to fire him this year. But to get to where we want to go, which is to not just be in the playoff, like that should be bare minimum at LSU. We need to be in like the semifinals, quarterfinals regularly, like all these other teams. We got to fire Brian Kelly now. We can't keep doing this same charade every year. It'll just be a waste of, $10 million basically if we're going to keep going down this route. I look at it as kicking the can down the road. But I think depending on how this A&M game goes, with where the fan base is at now, like if we lose this game by like 10 or more, I mean, I think the fan base is going to be on 11. And I think the talks will start happening behind the scenes. But that's only what a dreamer like me can hope. So put your hashtag FireBK tweets out, email Woodward. Let's do what we can to save this program. Let's get Kiffin in here.